Sweet Spirit, as we prepare ourselves for the next cycle of life, sometimes it becomes difficult knowing what to let go of and what to hang on to. Just like the cycle of the tree in relationship to the sun's light, I know by my temperance when it is time to release. Yet sometimes I know how to find the way to peace. As I look upon the tree, I realize the beauty of the freedom expressed by the tree as it remains perfectly still in the blowing of the autumn storm after releasing all its leaves. At the base of the tree, reflecting beneath the bark, is discovered how much the experience feeds the soil that has placed a layer upon layer of once fed the tree through the one process of its now feeds the entire forest through the many different avenues. That what matters is still present as it connects with the allness in a whole new way. Deep inside, we understand that we too may renew as we are in the image and the likeness of you. Thank you for showing us the way to your strength of peace in this new day. Forever as love. Amen. Please join with me in the blessing of our children everywhere on the planet. We love you. We bless you. We truly appreciate you just the way you are, and we behold the Christ in you. Good morning. I'm Tia Stitzel, your worship assistant and prayer chaplain for today. I'm taking Allison's place. She's not feeling well, so we're going to send her a lot of love and blessings today. And on behalf of Unity and the Olympics, located in Port Angeles, Washington, I welcome you to our Sunday service. At this moment, our building is closed to gatherings, yet our hearts and minds remain open to share love and light with you always. We welcome you wherever you are, and thank you for joining us for our virtual service on Facebook and on YouTube. Let us honor the silence for a brief moment as we center into the truth of our being. Join with me now as we recite together our declaration of faith, the fundamental principle of unity and movement, as well as the unity in the Olympics. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Let's say that one more time. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. The Daily Word is a bi-monthly publication by Unity. It offers inspiration and practical teachings through the daily word prayer message to help people of all faiths live healthy, prosperous, and meaningful lives. The magazine includes daily affirmations, scripture, prayer message, articles, spiritual poetry, and more. The Daily Word is a wonderful way to start any day. Today's word is forgive. And our affirmation is, in the peace of prayer, I release all forgiveness. If I hold on to feelings of hurt, betrayal, or anger in response to another person's words or actions, I block the flow of divine love and peace in my life. Likewise, holding on to guilt, shame, or embarrassment that may arise when I have hurt another person also keeps me from experiencing divine love and peace. Forgiveness removes all barriers and all obstacles, anything that may be disrupting my experience of the divine presence. In order to forgive myself or another person, I need not justify or approve behavior that is unwelcome. I need only to become willing to forgive. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. I feel the healing power of divine love as it dissolves all barriers, an illusion of separation, and I forgive and I am healed. In Matthew 6:12, it says, and forgive us our debts as we also forgiven our debtors. Let's repeat the affirmation today. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness.
It's like the air around me. It's like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love of God surround me. I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever wanted, and all I ever needed, was already there. Closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air. I breathe in, and I am filled with the Spirit. And it is health to my body, it is peace to my mind, it is joy, it is joy to my soul. And I breathe out a simple prayer of thank you. And my breath becomes a song that was singing all along, that is singing everywhere. It is nearer than the air. I breathe in, and I am filled with the Spirit. Oh, it is health to my body, it is peace to my mind, it is joy, it is joy, it is joy, joy. song that was singing all along, that is singing everywhere. It is nearer than the air.
Now it's time to introduce our speaker for the day. Today, our guest speaker is Charlotte Coachman, our beautiful Charlotte. The lesson is all these little particles. Are we separate beings living this existence? Or are we connected in a much bigger way than we have ever realized? Does the air we breathe belong to only us? And what does that mean for each of us individually and humanity as a whole? I was born and raised, Shar was born and raised in Port Angeles by parents that migrated to Oklahoma, and she spent her school years in the original Fairview School, Roosevelt Junior High in Port Angeles High School. She graduated in 1969 and moved to Oklahoma to get to know her mother's family. During the 20 years she spent there, she was married and she became a mother to a son and found her way to unity through her mother-in-law, who gave her her first daily word. She came home in a border sense when she moved back to Port Angeles in 1990 and saw the sign on the highway, Unity in the Olympics, and it has become her spiritual home. Her career has been varied: babysitter, waitress, factory worker, concessions, bank employee, bookkeeper, auditor, accountant, semi-truck driver, and a pet sitter. Her life has been an incredible journey. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you, Tia. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. And it's so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see you here. I just want to take a moment for you to realize that we're in the sanctuary. We're in that place where we come together on a normal basis, but normal really isn't ever normal. It's always changing. But I want to thank Tim West for putting it all together and keeping us on track, being our producer and go-to guy for all the things that need to get done to bring us to you. And also David is here, and he is a video technician apprentice, so he's learning the ropes from Tim and Tia, our wonderful worship assistant and my good friend. So thank you. So all these little particles, I was inspired by this song from a wonderful guy named Greg Tamblyn. And Greg has been with us about 3 times over the years as guest speaker and musician. And he's coming to us live in February, on the first Sunday of February, as our guest speaker and musician. But this song was about his song, All the Atoms. And if you know Greg at all and listen to his music, you know he's a wonderful humorist. And so he puts so much laughter into some of his songs. And then he has some that will make you cry. So make sure that you join us. But that song in particular was what sparked the idea for this talk. And so going back to the song that we just heard, though, I'm a little shaky because it always affects me a bit. But in September, when Tim and I went to the regional conference, we learned to play the game, What If? So what if the air around us is the God that created us? And what if the Creator is like the sunlight on our face? What if the love of God surrounds us constantly? What if we are touched by amazing grace? What if everything we've ever wanted or needed is already there? What if the closer we are closer to the Creator than the sunlight and nearer than the air? So when I first heard the song by Michael Gott, I was just, I took it in and I had to play it over and over and over again. And I think Tim told me he'd been playing it in his car over and over, just to be able to let the words sink in, just to feel them in a very deep way. So I want to take just a second here to pause, and I want all of you, everyone who's watching and listening, to take a deep breath in, and then slowly exhale that breath. This is the thing that keeps us alive here in this world that we inhabit, on this beautiful planet. The breath we take, we don't think about. It's just a part of who we are. It's an automatic response. Our muscles contract and expand, and our breath comes in and our breath comes out. Unless we pay attention to it, it's just so automatic that we don't think about what it means and what our bodies do for us to keep us going. So what happens when we breathe in and we breathe out? What happens around us is invisible most of the time. The air that we see. We feel the air when the wind blows. We don't see it. But we can't see it unless something like this last summer happened, and the smoke was so thick that you couldn't see a mile and a half away from where you were standing. You could see all those particles of smoke in the air. And then the wind came, and the rains came, and the weather moved it away and finally washed it out of the atmosphere. But we breathed that in and expelled it out, just like we do all the atoms, all the particles that we can't see, because this that is invisible to us is filled with particles and atoms. With each breath we take, we expel. With each breath that we breathe in, excuse me a second here, I'm having trouble turning my page. Our atmosphere, we expel that. So our atmosphere is only 300 miles deep. 300 miles is approximately by the way the crow flies from here to Spokane. Now that doesn't seem a long way if you think about the whole circumference of the Earth, but the space station orbits at about 220 miles above us. Not a long way, really. But when you think about the oxygen level, that keeps us here, the real concentration of it, it's only about 10 miles deep. So when we get higher, higher, higher on the mountains, we can't breathe as well because the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So think about this though. When we breathe in and we breathe out, we expel particles. You can't see them usually, unless you're coughing or really doing that kind of thing, but you can't see them, but they're there. And every being on this planet, even the Earth itself, has contributed to those particles. Those particles are from people that we admire from way back, that we have learned in history, whether it's in school or in church. Jesus breathed these particles and he expended them out, and we take them in. Julius Caesar, Jesus, Buddha, Hitler, Mother Teresa, and yes, even our own President Trump, to name a few. So it doesn't matter what they've done, really. It's that they are here as a being, as a true spiritual being. And those particles are true spiritual items. So what does that mean? Well, it really means that there's no disconnection between any of us. We make that possible through the way that we act with other people, the way that we think. But there is a total interconnection between everything that exists here in this time and on this beautiful blue planet. And that means past, present, and future. So how do we get from the interconnectedness that we learn that keeps us all connected that way to spiritual interconnectedness? So how does that happen? And as I was looking at things and studying and just my own knowingness, and the fact that this is a month of gratitude, and there's a lot out there on gratitude, it was wonderful to be able to read different ideas and thoughts on those, on that. So gratitude, that's a simple answer. It's simple, but it has to be put into practice. We start out when we're children. We start out as we are children, and we are taught thank you. That's the very first thing you think of. Okay, you teach your children to say please and to say thank you, and they grow up with that, and they're surrounded by it. You go to the store and you say thank you to the clerk. You stop at the bank and you do the same thing. You pass somebody in the street, they might, say hello to you or pick something up off the sidewalk that you dropped, and you say thank you. And so gratitude is all around us, but we take it so much for granted. Our makeup and our teaching as we grow and as we go into our teenage years, we kind of sort of forget, that to be grateful for things. And then we get to be young adults and our life is swirling around us and exciting things are happening and we're going on and we forget about what that really means until a holiday comes along or maybe an elder in your family reminds you about gratitude. So I was reminded about gratitude by going to a site online that had an article about Myrtle Fillmore. And this is what she said. And this is from her book that she published in 1956 and it's titled, How to Let God Help. And she says, and this was just before Thanksgiving that it got published. And so there's a whole chapter in there on Thanksgiving, if you care to read the book. But her quote is, heaven and earth, listen and respond to the soul that is quickened into praise and thanksgiving. And she also said, praise is gratitude in action. So there we go. There's the key. The key for me was a gratitude practice. So taking it from when I first started realizing that I needed to be more grateful as I began my spiritual journey, my real spiritual journey, which was just about the time I came back here. I mean, I had other things happen and I'll talk about those in a minute, but my real gratitude practice started when I came back here. And I passed the sign that's in our parking lot right now that used to be up on the highway. And I drove into town, and I'd only been here like a few weeks, but I haven't been into Port Angeles because I was in swim at my brother's, and there was a sign. I was like, it's a sign. So I came the next Sunday, and then I moved to not far away, about 5 blocks from here, and I got to come to church every Sunday, and I just walked into this beautiful sanctuary that we have, and it was home. So how do we practice? What do we do? One of the very earliest things that I remember was I was grateful for the 5 acres that we lived on, which was at the top of O'Brien Road and where Township Line joined. And we were surrounded by woods. we were children of the woods because the 4 of us, my 2 brothers and sister and I, that's where we played when we weren't in school. And we were never far away from our grandmother, who was our caregiver. But we we would hide out sometime and play fort and store and all the kinds of things, imagination that kids use. And so I remember being grateful for that, for being there in that time. And it passed very quickly as far as thinking about it. But now I look back at it and I go, wow, I was very grateful for that, and my grandmother. So my next real instance of gratitude, of real kind of moving toward gratitude, was when I was 18. I was in Oklahoma, and I was handed the Daily Word by my mother-in-law, and that was my staple for always. I didn't know it was going to be. I had no idea what it meant, really, but it has been the concrete groundwork for everything I think about and do. And so then at 18, I became a mother later that year. My son was born on the 5th of January in 1971. But I remember being scared to death and being a new mom, still in the hospital. They hadn't brought him to me yet. And he came to me, and I may cry about this, so hang in there with me. And they handed him to me, and I was astounded. And I looked at him, and I was so grateful for this beautiful little boy who chose his dad and me as his entrance into this existence. And I looked at him again, and I have to laugh about it now because he had these two little bumps, one on each side of his head and a little kind of valley down the middle. And I went, oh my goodness, something's terribly wrong. But it wasn't. It was, as he was born, he bruised his head on both sides, and that went away in a few months. But my first thought was, oh my goodness, what a gift. So fast forward a little bit, and I'm still in Muskogee, and it's Thanksgiving holiday. I think it was just after Thanksgiving that I happened to get, no, it was before Thanksgiving. I got an envelope in the mail from Unity World Ministries, and I opened it up, and inside is this sheet of paper, this just a printable sheet of paper, and on it was the blueprint for printing out a little gratitude journal. So I did that, and you were supposed to do the journal for 27 days. So I made sure I had enough, and it was foldable, so it was about this size. And in that journal for 27 days, they ask you to write down 3 things you were grateful for. And the instructions were that you did it first thing in the morning. So you didn't even know what you were going to be grateful for that day, but you put down 3 things that you were grateful for, and 3 people, either living or not, or even beyond you in the future. So imagination and what if came to being in this moment, but I didn't realize what that meant, the what if part. And so that was a real challenge, to write down 3 people every day, especially thinking forward. And backwards, I could go a ways. And then I had to really think about, what that meant to me, who was real important to me, who had influenced me in one way or the other, and that I was grateful for, that I could find the lesson of gratitude. And so I made my way through it. I did all 27 days. And I went to the post office a few days later because I was mailing Christmas cards, I think. And that time I did them and made them out early. And so I was standing in line. The line was pretty long. It was at the post office here in Port Angeles looks so much like the one in Muskogee, although it's remodeled and moved on to another house. But at the time, it was pretty much positioned in the same part of town. The building looked almost the same. It was uncanny. But I was standing in line, and the line was out the door, outside even, and I was getting fidgety. And I was thinking I could be doing, my grocery shopping. I could go home and sit down at my sewing machine. I could do all these things. And I remembered the gratitude journal because I had been watching the clock. It was like, okay, and I started being grateful. I just started being grateful for the clock on the wall, for the people standing in line with me, for the fact that we have a post office and things can get taken from here to around the world. I mean, you can find all kinds of reasons to be grateful for things when you stop and think about it. And so, that was kind of like another, leap in my spiritual growth, because it was something that really, I had to think about it. I had to really mull it over and go, wow, this is something that really helps. Because as I was standing in that line and I did that whole mantra, people started smiling at me. People started turning around and talking, and and first thing I knew, I was at the head of the line, and then I was up with the postal person, and then I was out the door, and I could go on and do the rest of the stuff I needed to do. So it was like this. It was joyful. It was full of joy, and so that's where we go when we do our gratitude practice. We fill our lives with joy and abundance. So one of the other things that I read recently, and I kind of lost I thought I had kept it, but it was about the fact that when you do your gratitude practice, when you really deeply get into it, when you use it as maybe even part of your morning meditation, then you are connected so much greater to the creator of all things. That energy, that joy comes through in every area of your life. You are expanded and it doesn't go away. You might forget about it for a few minutes, or you might, think, oh, I have to do this, I have to practice every day. But as you have practice, and when you get to that point where you can just let it be a part of how you breathe and live, you don't have to think about practicing. It is a practice. It is a part of, just like your muscles contract and expand, you are in gratitude most of the time. And it can be gratitude for anything. You can find gratitude in any situation. And we are faced with one of the toughest ones that, we've had in quite a long time, since our wars and those kinds of things, and a few flu epidemics that we've had. This one is very challenging. And so cultivating a groundwork of spiritual gratitude is extremely important. And so, and to help other people understand that it is how we get through, that we are all connected, and that it is just how we can make things better, not just for us, not just for me or for you, but for everyone. Even those people that you don't know, they're all affected by how you live your life. Each one of us affects everyone else around us, not just with our particles, as Greg would say, not just those little atoms that come out, but with our own energy, the light that we shine. And so that is what this whole Little Particles talk has been about. And one other thing that I do now on a daily basis, it took me a long time to be able to journal, to really take a journal and write things down. And that practice from Unity all those years ago is one of the things that brought me to the understanding that journaling is a very wonderful tool for people. And it doesn't matter how you journal, what you do. You could write it on a sheet of paper, put it in the notebook, it doesn't matter. But just to journal every day. And I don't know if many of you are acquainted with the Unity online radio, but they have some wonderful speakers every day. You can go and listen, and you can go back to the archives and listen. But I kind of connected with, or I did connect with these two gentlemen who are Unity ministers, and they have a show called The Funniest Thing. And it's on Unity Worldwide Radio, and then it's also on YouTube, and they are on Facebook, and they have their own website. But their names are Daryl and Ed. And Daryl and Ed put a lot of laughter and joy into their presentation, and they play off of each other, and they could get a little wacky sometimes, but they are a lot of fun, but they get to the heart of it with joy. And so I was watching them on their Facebook channel probably about a month ago, and they were talking about a journal, and they brought out their little journals that they carry with them every day. And they were, I was like, wow, that's a journal. It just looked like these, pieces of paper that have been mangled. And because they carry them with them every day, everywhere they go, they're pretty well worn. And so anytime during the day, when they see or feel or hear something or participate in something that gives them great joy, then they get out their journal. That's what they call it. This is my journal, JOY-NAL. So I will invite you at some point when you're working on your gratitude practice to go to get yourself a journal. This one was given to me and it's purple. So purple's my favorite color. And when I first got it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I didn't want to use it. I didn't want to use it because I didn't want to, spoil it, so to say. But now I know I can go back and look at these pages. And it brings me great joy to know that on a certain day, something happened, or I saw something, or I just wrote whatever, or I made little, drawings of something. And so it's just been such a great tool to use on my gratitude journey. And it has verses from the Bible at the bottom of the pages. It has quotes from other people. And so this is something that is in the very front of the book. I'm just going to share it with you very quickly. The quote says, "God bless you and utterly satisfy your heart with himself." And that was from Amy Carmichael, who was an Irish missionary to India and a poet. So through this whole journal, there's things to inspire you and maybe help you think about, what you're putting in here and the joy that you get from your life every single day. So the last thing I want to share with you very quickly is something that was, because not every gratitude comes off of joy. When I was leaving my house, I bought a house in 2006, went through the whole financial downturn. And I loved that house. And I shared it with a friend of mine who was saving up to buy her own home. And so with her two kitties, her two fluffy, kitties. And so it was a joy to be there. And it was a joy to have her there with me. But through that whole financial downturn, I wound up having to give my house back, to let it go back in foreclosure. And when I packed up to take my first journey to Oklahoma from here, to start spending my winters there and my summers here, I had to say goodbye to the house. Well, in packing up my sewing room, and I'm been a long time seamstress. I learned sewing from when I started when I was 7 with my grandmother, as a lot of people of my age did. But it was such a joy to me, something I took in school. I mean, it just kind of resounded with me, making things and putting things together. And so, but anyway, I was packing up my sewing room. And if any of you are seamstresses or quilters, you know that you develop a stash, and this stash was quite large. So I had to winnow it down. And then my Bernina sewing machine, of course, goes with me everywhere I go. But my table, there was a big table I got with my Bernina when I bought it. And it was really heavy and a wonderful table, because you put your sewing machine here and your serger over there, and you got room in the middle. But I had to let it go. And it was also tied to my past, to my husband and that part of my life. So I gave it to my sister. Her daughter, my niece, and her boyfriend at the time picked it up from me, took it out, put it in the car, and I was fine till I hit that point where I turned around to walk back to the house, and I just fell apart. I didn't let them see that. I just fell apart. And I walked into the house, and I was just sobbing and couldn't breathe. And I was just like, okay, and all of a sudden I just started saying, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this house. I'm grateful for my sewing machine. I'm grateful for all the stitches I've made. I mean, I just kept going. And pretty soon I was calm. I just was calm. And I was like, oh, wow. This gratitude stuff really does work. And so that was one of the really key things. But it came from a deep place of hurt. And so it was very difficult to get through. But when I did, I realized that gratitude is the key. Gratitude for everything, even what we're going through now, even this political stuff that's going on. Just be grateful, because change is coming, and it can be a wonderful, powerful change. And so with that, I'm going to go right into my meditation. And it's going to be maybe a little bit long, but we'll get through. We'll get there. So because we need to practice to connect to our Creator, I want y'all to just get comfortable where you are and just kind of sink into your chair. Think about being here in this, those of you who come here, think about being here in this space, sitting on these pews or in the chairs to the side, and just relax into it. And take a great big breath. And let it out. And just relax. And now, in your mind's eye, either in pictures or words, however you see things when your eyes are closed, I want you to imagine yourself standing in a circle. Standing in a circle. And right directly across from you, you can invite anyone that you want to into this circle. It can be somebody that you love dearly, somebody that's gone on, somebody that's might not even be here yet, or somebody that's standing right next to you, but that person is directly across from you. You're going to breathe in, and from your heart center, from here, you can put your hand over your heart if you want to. I want you to send the energy light of who you are to that person. And they will connect with you in that way. And they will send that light and that energy back to you. And now again, on either side of that person, add someone or something. Maybe you have a special pet, either living or gone, that you would like to connect with. Because it's all beings. All beings have that energy, that light, that God creator center. So breathe in again and send them light, and they will send it back to you. And they keep doing this. Every breath that you take, you expand the circle. Maybe you'll take 2 or 3 people or 4 or 5 on either side and just make the circle bigger. And keep breathing in and breathing out. And as this circle expands, each one of them are adding people. So now we're expanding exponentially. We're moving out. We're moving away from the earth. We're surrounding the earth. We're taking hands, and we're sending light in every direction in this beautiful, beautiful sphere that we live in. We're sending the light of the Creator, the light of love, the light of generosity, the light of compassion, the light of gratitude to every single being and our planet at this moment. And the whole planet is surrounded in the light of God, in the light of the Creator, in the light of Allah, in the light of whatever word you use to describe that being, that part of you that gives you the breath of life and supports you and loves you in whatever way you need. Because our whole world needs the love right now. So as you breathe in, you feel it contract toward you like it's breathing. And as you breathe out, it moves away from you. And again, the earth itself is breathing. And you breathe out. And you give thanks to every being and our planet for this wonderful existence that we share, that we are all connected. And we love and appreciate all of it. And breathe for a moment in silence. And with your next breath, you come back. You come back to where you're sitting. You let go of the hands, knowing that you're still connected with every breath you breathe. And then you slowly but surely back here. And then when you want to, open your eyes and know that we are all connected by those little particles. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. That was an inspiring thought and moving meditation. And know that you bring joy, abundance, and light, especially to my life. Know that we love you and we bless you and we truly appreciate you. for the way you are, and we look forward to exploring more of our image with you in our virtual fellowship garden after the service. The link will be available in the comments section to connect following the service. Please join me for the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And now, we want to thank you in advance for sharing your tithes and your gifts and your offerings with us this week. Let us take a moment to hold the thought of your gift in our minds and join me in the blessings of our gifts together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I give in love. Please send your gift by mail to 2917 East Myrtle Street, Port Angeles, Washington, 98362. Or go to our website at www.unityintheolympics.org and click the yellow donate button to tithe by credit card or PayPal. Using your imagination, join us in our closing circle as we gather here holding hands and standing close, because we are safe in the powerful sacred space of divine mind. Hold in mind the loving thought of a friend or a loved one and see them in the presence, feel them, behold them as whole, perfect, and complete. As we are bringing to life James Dillett Freeman's prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us, and the health of God flows through us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is truly well. Join us in the peace song. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you real soon. Divine love prevails. Divine love prevails. Divine love prevails. Namaste.